morning and welcome to The Point. It is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN, Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the GBN Production YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20, and good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. It is Tuesday, which is the day we usually facilitate political parties and NGOs on the program. And this morning joining me is a representative of the National Democratic Congress. She is the NDC's caretaker for St. Andrew Northwest, Mrs. Gloria Thomas. Let's welcome her to the program. Good morning, Mrs. Thomas, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Blossom, and thank you for having me on the program this morning.
It's a pleasure. Is this your first time on the program? I haven't been here in the past few weeks, so just check in.
Yes, I think this is my first time on To The Point.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. All right, so let's get right into it. Speaking of, this is your first time on To The Point, so let's get to know who Mrs. Gloria Thomas is. So first, just give us some information on yourself. Tell us who you are, your background, service to country, experience, education. Tell us who Gloria Thomas is.
Well, Gloria Thomas. I am Gloria Ann Thomas, born and bred in Lafayette, St. Andrew. I've spent all my life in this little village here, and I'm very much committed to service. I'm a service-oriented person, and well, throughout my life, I've been involved in service groups and organizations. Before I go there, let me say that I grew up within a large family, so I know what it is to look out for and care for people. And we had to learn to share, we had to learn to make compromise to make sure things work. Because we are a family that were, we say, marginalized. We have a father who took care of us, but we did not have much.
When you say you're coming from this background into public life, frontline politics, how did you get to this point where you decided it's time for me to make myself available in the hopes of representing St. Andrew Northwest?
Okay, from an early age, I was part of the Legion of Mary in my school, primary school, at age 9, there about 8, 9. And part of our responsibilities or duties as legionaries were to go out in the community and do chores for the elderly in the community. So from an early age, I learned how to care and how to share and how to provide service for others. And every Monday we have to go to meetings and we have to report on what we did in the community. So, for example, we will visit the elderly, ensure that they have clean water. We will have to tote the water from the standpipe. We have to run errands, go to the shop, get the groceries for them. Those days we say we go and buy message. And we also had to maybe do little domestic work like sweeping the yard and so on. And every week we had to be reporting at legionary meeting of those assignments. And that just puts you in a mood where you know you have to look out for people and you have to care. When I became like a teenager, I went into the St. Joseph's Convent. I joined the St. Vincent de Paul Society, which was almost like the Legion. And it was just the same, serving people in the community, raising funds to help the less fortunate, and just being there for people. Later on, I joined the Lions Club of St. Andrew. And I've been a member for the last 25, 26 years. And my whole life has been a life of service. And through giving service and working for the less fortunate, I came in touch with a lot of persons who have been marginalized, who need greater help, greater attention. And I think at this stage, I've been approached, and I think I'm it will be an opportunity for me to do even more for persons who need help. Because politics is about service. In my view, politics is about service, and stepping forward at this level and to come out and to take that stand and to make that greater contribution is something that I've been always doing all my years, but now it will be at a different level.
So coming into this too, like you said, for service, what are some of your plans for St. Andrew Northwest, and by extension the entire island?
Okay. For St. Andrews Northwest, I want us to be a constituency where there is equity. I think too many of our people suffer because they are not probably supporting a particular party. So I think coming into the politics in St. Andrews Northwest, I want to work on creating that equity, lifting the standard of living for people, bring inclusiveness, because what we're seeing is like you against he or we against them. And I think that is very, very sad. So part of my plan is to bring that inclusiveness and respect, through people empowerment. We have to empower people. We have to let people know that we have to work together with community and we have to be there for each other. I think there's too much division in St. Andrews Northwest. And if you are not a supporter of the ruling party in this case, well, you get left. You have to be begging and, things won't work for you. But I want to bring this equity and inclusiveness in St. Andrew Northwest. That is my first point. I also want to lift the standard of living here, and I want people to understand that they can empower themselves and take their life into their own hands. You don't have to wait on somebody to give you, and you don't have to wait on somebody to do for you. So I'm about empowerment as well. So these are some of the things I would like to see happen in St. Andrew Northwest.
You just a while ago mentioned division, which reminded me of some issues that we heard about when it comes to electing the NDC caretaker for the constituency. Just shed some light on the process leading up to your selection/election as the caretaker for Northwest. I understand the for lack of a better word, the fight or the battle was between yourself and the gentleman who contested the last election in the constituency, Philip Alexander. What was that process like?
Well, the whole scenario was just democracy at work. It was just democracy at work, and it was just people taking the whole situation and blowing it out of proportion and making more out of it. Basically, we have a process in the party that if you want to represent, you indicate your interests. That will be discussed by the party. You are interviewed. The constituents come together in a consultation. We have a poll, and then we take a decision at the national level. And that was just it.
All right.
I think the contention is people felt that there was somebody there and I should not have indicated my interest.
Okay, but have you seen a wavering in the support of people in the constituency, considering those who may have been thinking Mr. Alexander was there already and you shouldn't have put yourself forward? Have you seen that wavering of support? Whether it's from
prior to my appointment, persons who were interested in seeing him there were saying that they would stay with him and whatnot. But since after I've been appointed, we back together and we are going through what we have to go through to make sure we get that seat.
Speaking of the seat, the constituency is currently held by Mrs. Delma Thomas. And if my memory serves me correctly, she has won that seat for the last two general elections, 2013 and 2018. So going up against somebody who has won that seat twice already, how are you feeling? Are you anxious? You're nervous? What do you think you need to do to defeat Mrs. Thomas at the polls for the constituency?
I'm very confident, very, very confident. And as I gave you my background on the listening public, I think the foundation there for my win has been laid years ago. I'm not just coming in and trying to win. I think I have won a lot of years ago. So coming in now is just to take the seat. I've been in the community, I've been working with people have that respect for me, people come to me for a lot of advice, for a lot of support. I reach out to people, and I do a lot for community.
There's a comment or a belief that once somebody is elected as the MP, we see the effort they were putting in prior to the election, we see it wane just a little bit after the election. What guarantee can you give that Mrs. Gloria Thomas will continue the fight even after the elections, win or lose?
Well, community persons and people in general know of me, and they know I've been a person who has been there for people all along. So if I've been there for people for all my years, why when I come into politics, I will not be there for them? The story of my life is working for people, being there for people, helping people, empowering young people, and I'm just a community person working out there. So what will change after politics? It should get better.
All right. Fair enough. What's your passion? Which area of national building is your passion?
Youth empowerment.
Why youth
empowerment? And working with the marginalized people. Youth empowerment, because I think if we do what we have to do with the youth, we will have a better Grenada. The youth is said to be the future. Sometimes we say the youth is the future, and the future is now. So we have to work with them from now. I think that if we provide what is necessary, we will not have so much youth unemployment. We will not have so much deviance in society. We will have people who think that they could and demonstrate as well that they can take charge of their life and they could have a better future. They don't have to wait on the politicians, to hand out and to, come to us all the time to beg. We should empower them so they could do what it will require of them to be productive and worthwhile citizens. And I say this, and I reflect now on the Student Support Services Unit in the Ministry of Education, where I worked for some time. I think this unit was set up to help guide students, provide counseling, ensure that they have a good lunch at school and so on. And much more need to be done for the unit to give it capacity to do what it was set up to do. Because we have a lot of counselors who have retired. Some have been transferred to other ministries and other departments, and they have not been replaced. And I think this has created a void. So powers that be need to give this some attention, because that is where it starts. We have to make sure we guide students and we empower them as an early age. So when they get out there, they could feel confident that they have the tools to take them through life.
Speaking of youth and youth empowerment, are there any programs that, let's say the next elections are held, Mrs. Thomas wins her seat, or the NDC wins the election, and you are Minister of Youth. Are there programs that you would like to further develop, whether those that have been put in place or new ones that you would like to start?
Well, the Imani program that is in place, we have to reorganize it, because what we see is just young people placed out there to probably collect something to say, well, they are unemployed or not employed or whatever. But we want to ensure that in a youth development program, after young people has been trained. If it's for a period of 2 years, 2.5 years, they can be placed in somewhere where they could earn, have a job and earn in a meaningful way. Or we train them to take on some entrepreneurial skills, start little businesses and cooperatives. We were told that cooperatives has not had a very good history in Grenada, but these are things that we have to relook and restructure to ensure that young people could get together, do business together, and see how they could make a life for themselves.
Any ones that you'd like to start? Do you have a name of one that you'd like to start? The Gloria Thomas
I don't have a name, but I don't have a name. But what I think is that we first have to do a lot of soft skill development, for our young people, because the respect, the teamwork, the time management, and all those things, we need to work on those areas with our young people so they grow up to understand that certain things are required of them in the world of work, and when they go there, they have to be able to demonstrate those qualities to hold a job, to be real productive, and to be successful.
And before we go to the break, is there any truth that you are also approached by other political parties to contest the constituency on their ticket?
Of course, all the parties.
So why did you decide that the NDC was the team you wanted to be a part of?
Well, first to begin, when I was approached, I didn't ready for politics. I never wanted to be in politics.
And how long ago that was? How long ago were you approached the first time?
Oh, since the return of Gary after the exile.
Wow, that was
I was a young teacher. Yes.
And why the NDC, you said?
Well, I think the philosophy of the NDC. Well, one, I think now I'm better positioned to be a politician, and two, the philosophy of the NDC more or less attract me to them. And
what philosophy is that?
We talk about sustainable. We want to ensure a sustainable Grenada, sustainable and prosperous Grenada, and I think this is a lot.
All right, let's take a quick break, Ms. Thomas, and then we're going to come back and continue to get to know the NDC caretaker for St. Andrew Northwest, Gloria Thomas. This is To The Point on Classic 105 and GBN. We're taking a quick break, and we'll be back with more.
You mentioned the wing high, then you have things like man, you must come back, you know. We have the low power there.
It is kind of like you say man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture.
The most anticipated family fun-filled event on the GBN calendar is back. The Maggie King of the Grill. Join us on June 4th at Mount Rouge. Be part of the culinary masterpiece as the best grillers on island compete for the coveted title of the Maggie King of the Grill. Think you have what it takes? Be part of the action. June 4th. Book your spot. If not, step away from the grill if you can't handle the heat.
Help prevent cold and flu by washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to remove most germs. No soap and water? No worries when you've got alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
Welcome back to The Point, speaking with the NDC's caretaker for St. Andrew Northwest, Gloria Thomas. Before we go to our viewers and listeners who may have comments, questions, queries, concerns, two things I wanted to talk about. We know St. Andrew is one of the parishes, communities known for agriculture and agricultural development. What plans do you have in that area, in that industry, whether it be for St. Andrew Northwest, the whole of St. Andrew, or the whole of the state?
One of the priority areas for the NDC is agriculture, the development of agriculture and agro-businesses. And so St. Andrews being an agricultural village by and large, this will be a priority for me as well. And one of the burning issues in St. Andrew Northwest is the state of the feeder roads. If we have to develop agriculture, the farmers must have proper access to the land, to go in and to cultivate, and also to be able to bring out the produce when the time comes. So we must have proper feeder roads in our quest to develop the agriculture and the agro-industry business here in Grenada. And we have to start looking at the roads that need urgent attention, a few of them, well enough. Farmers have been complaining. Farmers have been calling for assistance. Some of them have been taking out monies from their own pocket to get trucks to throw in binders and gravels to make the road accessible to them, to their lands. So the feeder roads will be something that will be given some attention under the NDC, because agriculture will be one of our main priorities. We have to bring back agriculture.
And something that's in your constituency, Northwest, the Princess Alice Hospital. Of course, we've heard lots of great things about the facility, but there have also been some negativity surrounding the hospital, whether it be the services available and or rendered. Any plans for the development of Princess Alice?
Well, the first move is to do a proper assessment of the situation once I get into office, or when I get into office, sorry. And we have to look at staff in there. We have a lot of complaints of people going to the hospital, cannot see a doctor, have to wait a long time for a doctor. And the staff there, is stretched to the limit. And the facility needs a little bit of upgrading. There was the case where we had the installation of X-ray machine, and we were all there in the opening, and we were so excited, and we were so happy to be part of the opening, and that we call that success story, because the first X-ray machine was donated to Princess Alice Hospital by the Lions Club of St. Andrew. I was not a member then, but that is part of our history as Lions. And so I was especially invited to that ceremony when the new unit was installed. But alas, we understand it is not functioning, it is not in use, and it is really a heartbreaking experience to know that you go to the hospital and there is no machine there to do diagnostic tests before treatment could be given. So everybody had to go to St. George's to do an X-ray, go to the private facilities. Some persons cannot afford the cost of the private facilities, and it was good to have that X-ray unit in Maribor. And what had to be done wasn't done, because I understand they say it's missing a part. So just to source a part is a General Electric, they're still in operation, source the part and get the machine going. But I don't think that was a priority for whoever had to deal with it.
All right, we're going to open the floor now for viewers and listeners who may have comments, questions, queries, concerns for Ms. Thomas as the NDC caretaker for St. Andrew Northwest. This is your chance to ask them respectfully. The landline number 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number, and you can continue to post your comments and questions on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page and the GBN Production YouTube channel. We have our first caller of the program. Good morning.
Yeah. Yes, good morning, citizen Welsh. Greetings and greetings to your guests. Listen, can you affirm to me that your guests can hear me well?
Can you hear him?
Yes.
Okay.
Very well, thank you very much. Welcome to the political fray, Miss Thomas. Listen, I am one of the few people in this here country who believes that the problem in this here country is legislation. I hear you talk, and I must admit that everything that you've spoken about has to do with policies of the executive. But don't get me wrong. I understand that you are seeking as an aspirant a position as a member of Parliament. Parliament being the place where the laws of the country are made, modified to guarantee good governance and an enhanced standard of living of the people of said country. Therefore, I ask this question. Can you give me at least 2 initiatives, only 2, that you can propose if your party wins and you win your seat? 2 initiatives that you propose for a legislative agenda. Legislative agenda, not executive, because the position that you vying for is primarily and primordially legislative. Thank you very much. I trust that my question has been understood. And have a nice day, will you?
Thank you very much, Susan Rollo. Go ahead, Ms. Dollars.
Okay, for a legislative agenda thing, the first thing we need to look at fathers, particularly, who do not keep their children, who do not take their responsibility as a father seriously. We want to ensure that this is done. And I think that that is something we'll be looking into, because most parents, most of the mothers, has to take care of the children. The father is working, sometimes even with government, and the government still has to find the resources to assist the mother, and the father is out there earning, having a good time, and not looking after the children. So I think this is something that we need to legislate for fathers to take care of their children once they are able to do so and are earning.
All right. Somebody on WhatsApp says, congratulations, Ms. Thomas. The question is, why should we vote for you? What are your expertise are you bringing to the table based on your experiences?
Well, I think you should vote for me because I am a caring person. I connect with people. I understand people. I understand community. I empathize a lot with people. I get into people's feelings, and I am able to connect and understand where people are coming from. I think sometimes when we're in position, we brush off people. We think they're too bothersome. We think that they are too miserable, for want of a word. But I am a person who you can always count on. You could always come to me. I will listen. I'm a very good listener. People say sometimes I talk to people, but I'm listening to them. And I think, coming from, that's what I come with. I come with a whole range of experience in social work, in counseling, in education, disaster management, project management, and the list goes on and on and on. So wherever my party asks me to function, I'll be able to find a niche somewhere to be part of a team to ensure that we deliver and we take the whole country into consideration when we form the government.
All right, back to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Sandra. Hey.
Firstly, just turn down the volume on your television. You'll hear me through the phone.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm in my bedroom.
So turn down the volume on your TV.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sandra.
Who's Sandra? Is Miss Gloria Thomas as the guest this morning?
Is that Mrs. Gloria Thomas?
Yes, it is. Go ahead with the question, please.
Okay. Right. Well, I hope. I'm just hoping that you.
Yes, go ahead. Stop listening to the TV. Listen to the phone. Go ahead with the question.
What do you guys? What do you guys see?
Okay, so call us back when you load on the television, and then you can ask the question. Okay? He's gone. Okay, I think he's gone. All right. Let me go to a question on Facebook. A comment. Somebody on Facebook says the last major thing that was done in Northwest was the building of the abattoir by NDC in 2010. Factual, or were there any other developmental any development in the constituency?
Under the NDC, the last time they were in office.
Not just under the NDC, but development in the constituencies over the last, that would be 12 years.
Last 12 years. Okay, we had the Greater Grenville project being implemented. That is the refurbishing of the Grenville Market and the bus terminus. We also had a construction of a court just behind the Methodist School going up on Welsh Road there. We also saw the installation of some guardrails up Maryborough. We also saw the strengthening of the Paradise Bridge. These are some of the things that I can recall happening in the last 10 years. There was a construction of a child development center in Mount Horn a year or two ago. These are some of the things that I could just recall off my head at the moment.
All right. Let me go back to WhatsApp. No, let me stay on Facebook. Somebody on Facebook says, Ms. Thomas, there is a video circulating the internet and in the news with the seaweed, the sargassum seaweed that is taking over beaches and making it hard for fisherfolk and beachgoers. Can you tell us what are your plans and the NDC's plans to tackle the seaweed problem?
But the seaweed has been plaguing the shores for quite some time. And there is nothing I could do to stop it per se, because I understand it comes from way out and comes in. But what we could do is to probably do a booming of the area outside there to stop it from coming on shore. So you boom it out there, and then you have boats and what have you picking it up from there and towing it out to farmers who want to put it in their lands or make better use of it. But to allow it to come on shore, we have to look at that because we want to prevent that problem of it reaching on shore.
All right, let me go to the landline. Okay, lost that caller. Somebody on WhatsApp. Somebody on WhatsApp is asking, commenting, I love both of the Thomases, but let us see a little change. If the NDC's Thomas wins, no problem. Between you and Miss Delma Thomas should be really an NDC politician. So I guess people in St. Andrew Northwest are ready for a change. Have you been getting that feeling?
Oh, yes. Even before I started campaigning, people was campaigning me. Calls, messages, and people was just reaching out. As I said to you, it's a long time now. I've been eyeball to be a politician. And people always say, why don't you help us? You're supposed to be like people, you're supposed to be always giving and so on. And I've been encouraged. I've been really encouraged, and a lot of persons are reaching out to me. And I can assure you that things are definitely changing around Northwest.
All right, let me go back to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning. Go right ahead.
My name is Thomas.
Good morning.
I'm mostly congratulating to Ms. Thomas because I know her personally. And I know that she's somebody who, has been doing the work a politician should have been doing in the community. In St. Andrews, I could give her that for it. But what am I concerned? And what I do, and the first thing I would like to see Ms. Thomas address, she mentioned the problem. The roads. This community is a farming-based community. And I could tell you that the roads are in a serious, deplorable condition. For example, the Mount Hope Road, we serve over 30 plus farmers. That road is not even more terrible for four-wheel drive vehicles when rain falls. And there's a lot of income that can be coming from this area because there's a lot of nutmeg inside there. There are farmers who have spicy, cocoa, and many other crops, including vegetables. I have been there and see a farmer has to walk about half a mile with a bunch of banana on his head to reach where he could pass his vehicle to carry. Now, if this man has, remember, 8 banana, you have about 600 bunches. If this man plants 600 stool of banana, how much do you think he would be able to have it and carry them in good condition before he could carry them to market? If these kind of problems have been addressed in the community, a lot of people would not have to go to the seed program. A lot of people don't want to be on e-money. They will be self-employed. People will be able to provide more food, cheaper food for the nation. So that is one of the main areas. The next area I would like to see addressed is I would say, personally, the money and the seed program, and they are good programs. But let me tell you something. These programs are never implemented in the way it should be and in a productive way. I never would support the idea of just giving people money for them to just enjoy themselves on weekends and so forth. Because from my observation, these programs are not building productive young people for the future. If this nation has to be a developed nation, it cannot be based on tourism. It needs to be based on our people development.
Okay.
And it's hard to say what is happening to our young people. We need a group of politicians to change that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see you nodding, Ms. Thomas.
Yeah. Yes, the caller has made some valid points, some of which I've touched on early on, with the feeder road and ensuring that farmers are able to get to the lands and take all the produce. And I like the point he made about if we have better access to agriculture and get involved more in agriculture, there'll be less people on the seed program. That is a very profound statement.
There's a question on the YouTube. Somebody on YouTube asks, when talking of youth empowerment, is there any plan in place for teenage parents, both male and female? Good question.
Well, we have the PAM program already instituted. What we have to do is to revisit it and try to enhance it so that both the fathers and the mothers could get counseling, and we have to help them to work together to look after their offspring. So there are plans in place, there are discussions taking place, not concrete plans, but discussions around the PAM program, what we have for the mothers, but we're also looking at the young fathers to bring them into counseling and for them to understand what their roles and responsibilities are, so that the government will have to look after their children for them once they could work and they have a job. So there are discussions to enhance that sort of offering and that sort of service.
Facebook question, what's your stance on the pension issue?
As a worker, I believe that when we work, and based on what the Constitution says, we should go home to live a comfortable life. We shouldn't go home to be in poverty. So I support pension for persons when they retire from employment after an extended period of time, with government as well as with private sector. I support the pension for workers.
Still on Facebook, and then I'll go to the landline. Somebody on Facebook inquires, if elected, are you willing to work with the other Thomas to help the development of St. Andrew? North.
I'll be working with all constituents, and she's part of the constituency, so that means I'll be working with her, working with everyone, because we need to have ideas, we need people to come together to give their opinion on certain things, to be guided by some things. And one of the things that I plan to do is to have regular town hall meetings. Regular town hall meetings where we pull people together and hear their concerns, hear the ideas, hear what they would like to see, and how we would develop the constituency in a holistic way.
All right, let me go to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Go right ahead. Just turn the volume down on your television and go ahead with the question.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning to your host, to Ms. Thomas. Just one concern. My concern, right, is what I'm seeing is a total breakdown of law and order, especially among our young people. Children these days, or young people, the sort of respect that we grew up with, the sort of respect for persons is not there, and it's a total kind of breakdown of law and order. Apparently, the youths are seeing it from the bigger persons, and it's been following on. Ms. Thomas, what we could put in place to tackle this kind of situation where greater come back to some way where it used to be, in terms of respect for your elderly, respect for others, in the school and everything. I knew you was once, I believe, a truancy officer, you're a counselor and everything. You're still a counselor anyway. And all the things then. What can we, let's say, put in place, or what we could do to encourage? I know a lot of places have community centers, but to me, community centers are totally underutilized. I want to know what we could do to help in those situations.
Thank you very much, caller.
The breakdown of law and order among our young people is a number of different factors responsible for that. So we have to take a more or less a multi-pronged approach to trying to see if we could pull back a little bit on this. One, I think we have to have some serious parenting education. And we could do that through our PTAs, through our churches. People who don't go to church or don't go to PTA meetings, we have to try to reach them in the community centers that are so severely underutilized. We have to do it through social media. So we're looking at a parenting program for parents across the board using different media. Also, we need to, as I mentioned earlier, strengthen our student support services unit. We were well on the way in trying to give students good life skills to go there, but as I mentioned earlier on, the unit has been severely understaffed because probably the ministry does see virtue in continuing such a valuable program. So counselors who have been retired, like myself, persons who have been transferred to other ministries and other departments and other areas of work have not been replaced, and the few counselors that are there cannot really meet the needs of the students effectively, because generally you should have at least a counselor for say 200 to 250 students, but that is not the reality at present. I also believe that the powers that we don't understand counseling and how counseling is to be effective, because you would tell a counselor who already have 5 schools or 6 schools, this person retired, so you have to take on this school. I mean, that makes no sense. It's not a touch and go thing. You have to be able to engage the students over a period of time. Based on their issues, you have to make sure that you have the treatment plan in place. You have to follow up with them. You have to give them assignments, and then you have to visit the homes. Although they say counselors are not protected by the Education Act to go to homes, but I used to go because as a school attendance officer, I was protected under the Act, so I used to just piggyback on that because everybody know me coming to homes and everybody know me working in the community. We have to be able to reach students, do for students to help them to understand how they are to get along and get on in society. So the guidance program, wonderful program, but if you don't have enough people to execute it, it makes no sense. So students, for example, who we notice had similar issues, we still have group counseling, maybe 5 or 6 of them. They have an anger management issue. We do them in groups, 5, 6 of them, and we still work along to ensure that they could overcome that kind of behavior and whatnot. But that is not practical now, based on what the counselors are saying. They don't have the time, they don't have enough manpower there, and I think that is part of the problem because we are not able to help the students to grow as they ought to. So we have to seriously look at the staffing or capacity building in the student support services unit. We have to do parenting program across all media. We also have to let students make their own projection as to what they want, set their goals and so on, and follow through with them to ensure that they achieve their goals or they work towards their goals, because most of the goal is after school, but you work with them to ensure that they're on track for the school to be successful. And they know if they go and they fight outside there, that will limit their chances, that will marginalize them, and all those things we have to show them. But we could only do that, if we having these guidance sessions and these counseling sessions, but we don't have workers, we don't have personnel to really effect those programs. So that is something we have to look at. The restaffing and beefing up of the guidance and counseling unit. Well, generally the student support unit. Guidance and counseling is only one aspect of it. And we have to try. So parenting program, the staffing of the student support services unit, and whatever else it will take for us to do that. Working communities and so on.
Let me go to this Facebook question. Somebody on Facebook says, as a constituent, we have been clamoring for a police station and health center for years in Birch Grove. Those 2 buildings have been damaged during Hurricane Ivan and still aren't repaired. The state continues to rent properties in the area. Ms. Thomas, if you are elected, we hope that this is going to be a priority for the community. Let's use the constituency allowances for the benefit of everyone and not a few. Is that among your plans, the refurbishment of the health center and police station?
Yes, the refurbishment of the health center is a priority because health, again, is a priority of the party. Just as I recall there, we have a few of them that we looking at, and the community center, the health center, will be a priority area for improvement. Because as we say, it's better that we build and that money could stay in the treasury to help with development than private people just benefiting from that sort of arrangement that is in place.
There are two questions before I go back to the landline. There are two questions related to women and girls. One person on WhatsApp asks, I would like to hear what are Ms. Thomas's plans for women and community groups, as we are seeing community centers are being used as factories. And somebody on Facebook, a kind of related question, they're asking, if elected, what are your plans to address domestic violence against our women and girls?
We have a Domestic Violence Act. As we know, it was upgraded when it was in power the last time around. And having that act in place, we have to just ensure that what is written in the act is respected by persons that be. So what we have to do is to have the law enforcement persons sensitized as to the expectation of them in following through and following up when domestic violence takes place. Because there is an act already. There is an act. As I said, it was upgraded. And we just need to enforce it. We need to enforce it because we have things in place to deal with those domestic violence situations.
All right, let's see if we have a caller. Yes, we do. Good morning, caller.
Yes, I want to ask your guest, how does she see the spiritual health of this country? And if she sees any need for improvement in the spiritual health of this country, and how does she plan to, if it's not, to bring it to a level that is acceptable, that would reduce crime and violence, as one person about violence against women and girls, violence about anybody. How does she see the spiritual aspect of Renita's life helping to curb a lot of the violence and things that we have going on? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
The spiritual aspect of the human being is a very important and vital one. I myself is a strong practicing Catholic. I'm an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist. I take communion to the sick. I conduct service and so on in the absence of the priest. So I am very much aware of the need for spirituality and person's connection to a higher being, which will give them some sort of awakening of the conscience, because I think when you are deeply spiritual, it sets you in a place where you respect people, you have that sort of a conscience where you want to do good, you want to do what is right, you want to please the higher being, wherever we take him to be. And so if we have our children as families, that is a family call. Government can do everything. If we have families that raise their children in the fear of God and the fear of a higher being, and ensure that they pray, they respect other people, they respect people's property, and so on, we are well on our way to solving some of the problems that we have in society. I think part of it is because we don't gather children to pray home, because as family we pray. I know as a child, we have to kneel down and pray before we go to sleep, and we have to say good night, and after we pray we can speak again. If they hear us grumbling, we have to get up and pray again, because prayer was such an important thing. It would signal the end of the day and the beginning of the next day. So it was guided by that spirituality. Before you do anything in the morning, you get up and you pray. That is how most of us in my time, not only in my family, but in the community, grew up. You know, when we meet and we talk about, how our parents grew us up, we laugh about it, but we thank them for it just the same. So I think it's a family call. I think family need to take greater control of the children, try to raise them in the fear of God, and try to help them to be respectful to people and to themselves in general.
And as we wrap up, Ms. Thomas, any final thoughts? And I want to throw out a comment I saw on Facebook there. So let me rearrange it to ask the question. Are you open to a debate with the other representatives or the other caretakers / candidates for St. Andrew Northwest, including Mrs. Thomas? A public debate.
Yes. I'm open to that.
All right. And your final thoughts as we close the program?
Yeah. I just want to call on the constituents and people in general to go out there, get registered so that you can vote, to exercise your constitutional rights, make a good decision, vote for change, vote for transformation, vote for the NDC as we strive to take Grenada forward.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thomas. And somebody in the comments also encouraged me to invite you back to the program sometime in the future. So we will definitely be extending that invitation in short order. So thank you very much for this morning's conversation. It was very enlightening and educational. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you for having me too. It has been my pleasure. And I look forward to future engagements at the same forum.
Most definitely. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
That was the NDC caretaker for St. Andrew Northwest, Miss Gloria Thomas. We thank her for being our guest this morning. And let me put it out there. The question about the debate is not that it will be taking place. I was just, curious, following a comment on Facebook. So don't say blossom, say there'll be a debate. Just saying. Thank you very much for tuning into the program. All our viewers and listeners, whichever platform you use, whichever part of the world you are, always appreciate your listenership and your viewership. That's the end of my time on radio for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing. Until then, please stay safe, observe your personal COVID-19 protocols, and enjoy the rest of your terrific Tuesday.